Unrealized gains, taxing unrealized gains just doesn't seem fair in any sense of the word. In the very best sense, if you are taxing unrealized gains, all you're doing is pulling forward the taxes that would be paid later when someone actually sells the stock.
I think that this reaction to unrealized gains is a little funny, given that I bet that the majority of people watching right now are already paying a tax on unrealized gains. It's called a property tax. When the value of your home goes up,
it's a use tax.
When the value of your home goes up, you pay higher taxes, even if you don't sell your home.
Your value of your home never moves the way a stock moves, the way something else moves.
That's always the go-to answer.
It's also, property tax is a use tax. You're paying for the schools, you're paying for emergency services. Those are things that make absolute sense.
And sure, and all the revenue that comes in from these unrealized gains taxes and the other taxes in the Harris plan are going to go to creating what she calls more opportunity. It's to make sure that every newborn born in this country gets $6,000.
Using the services.
Well, look, you're arguing that this is some sort of foreign concept that's completely unknown in the U.S. tax code.
It's probably unconstitutional. It's probably, and it was never in anyone's intent to tax.
It's not an income tax,
and it's never going to happen. Probably.
What she's proposing would be the destruction of the investment economy, the destruction of jobs. It would just reverberate through this economy like nobody's business. And they're hiding it in the Trojan horse of, oh, it's just for the rich people. That makes it worse because your 401k will be devastated once wealthy people start to sell all those S&P stocks in order to meet her 25% tax on unrealized capital gains. So basically what that means is, let's say you bought a stock for $100, okay? The stock goes up to $200. So you've made $100, but you haven't sold the stock, okay? Which is typically when you trigger a capital gains tax, once you actually get some money in your pocket, right? So not only does she want to hit people with the highest capital gains tax rate being 44%. But she also wants a 25% tax on unrealized gains. So you don't even have to sell that stock. What she's saying is, okay, you made $100 on that stock. So now you owe the government $25 of that 100 you made. And we know you didn't cash it in. We know you didn't touch the money. And we don't care what you have to do to get our 25%. Take a loan if you have to.
Wow.
Now, here's the other insidious part of this. So a lot of people who own lots of shares, because she says, oh, this is only for the rich. Well, that doesn't help. That makes it worse, because what the rich will then do is they will sell stocks in order to satisfy the tax. So the first person sells stock, the second person comes in to sell, but now since some big whale sold, the share price is lower now, okay?
Right.
Because Elon Musk had to liquidate to pay 25%, and on it goes.
Yeah. Wow. So let me ask you this, because this is what you do here. Like when I'm talking with people and they say, oh, it's only for rich people, it's only for wealthy people. Well, that's actually subjective. What does rich people mean? Are we talking about a household of 100,000 to 300,000, 300,000 or over? What's that mean? Who is going to feel this?
Anybody who has more money than the people saying that dumb stuff.
Pretty much. Well, they want to start it out. They typically target 400,000 as their magical, barometer. Okay. But I tell people this. Once you let the Trojan horse into the gate, then everybody becomes fair game, okay? So now they'll make a big deal about this, but 3 years from now, when they include a revision in a piece of legislation that now brings the definition of who's rich for these purposes, capital gains taxes, down to $100,000, okay? So you are making 50, okay? Your boo thing is making 50. Oh, y'all are rich now, okay? So you're going to get hit. Surprise, all right? And you're going to H&R Block. You're not going to some big fancy, accounting firm or law firm to get this done, right? So be careful what you wish for. All right. Now, if she wants to solve the problem, she needs to start talking about government spending. That's the issue. Okay. We can no longer afford this far-flung imperialistic military that we have. Germany and Japan, they're going to be okay. And if they're not, hey, we're right around the corner. Okay. All of this largesse that we've been spending on for the past 75 years, it's in the empire stage, 35 trillion in debt. We got to slow down.
Yeah. That it's scary stuff, and especially the sticking point that you made that I want to emphasize is to open the Trojan horse that opens the gate. And like you mentioned, so once they figure out, or if this goes through, and let's say it does affect 400,000 earned year earners or higher, then as you mentioned, in 3 years or so, they'll lower it down when they're not making the money that they want to make, because they have all these illegals coming in and all these social programs that just always goes up and up. And I guess they're trying to pay for all of these programs. So
they're trying to pay for entitlements, their cronies, the lobbyists, whatever. But that principle that Tyrone said, that principle is something that I've cautioned many people to think about, because 9 times out of 10, when the government, or as my grandmother would call it, the government makes a law, just because it sounds good, because you think it's in your favor, you don't. What happens when it changes, and then it's on the other side? We can go back and forth because I like something, or I want it to benefit me at this moment. We have to think about the bigger picture, how these trickle down effects. The government, if you will, does not give up its power and control. It expands it continuously, nonstop, and it just grows and grows and grows in almost virtually any area.
Yeah.
And look, this is the other thing people need to keep in mind. If you just flat out confiscated the wealth, all of it, of the 1%, okay? Now, I don't know about anybody else. I've never gotten a job from a poor person, but let's go ahead and confiscate all of the wealth from the 1%. You could run this government for about a quarter, maybe, okay? So where is the money? The money is not with the 1% who have armies of accountants and lawyers to comb through the thousands of pages of tax code and protect them. Okay. Go ahead, implement this. You will see money move overseas. Okay. But the money, the real money, is with the middle class. Why? Because the middle class, by and large, is composed of people who work W-2 jobs. That is a classification that has the least amount of flexibility in terms of deductions and credits and that sort of thing, loss carry forwards. You don't find that in the W-2 world, okay? So that's the place that is targeted. Government knows this. They can't come out and say it, so they'll demonize the rich. And then the next step is to hit the middle class up, because H&R Block, I hate to pick on them, but they're not going to, there's nothing they can do. I mean, you're in the W-2 world, okay?
Right.
That is designed to be the most onerous and burdensome tax category.
Right. And add to that, Tyrone, the middle class, again, as a function of the productivity of the economy or of a group of people, they tend to be the ones who are, like you said, they're working. It's more of them, because the 1% doesn't outnumber the middle class. So there's more of them impacting the economy. They tend to have, families, children so they're going to be working, trying to save, trying to pay their bills, the education. Like you said, their 401ks, they're trying to save for the future. Their 401ks are going to be devastated.
Now, let me ask you this, and I don't want to get too much in the weeds, but I just want to make sure I understand this. So when they talk about this capital gains and things, are they also is this just on income made, or is it also taking in consideration your assets? Because let's say you're some.
Go ahead.
So yeah, let's say you don't make, as far as in income, more than $400,000, but let's say you have, as far as assets, more than $400,000. Then how does that, because some people own property and things like that.
All
how
of it.
Measured?
Yeah, pretty much. They want to. It's not an income tax. Okay. Again, they're going to stick people on the W-2 side with that. They already got that covered. This will be a tax, because this is one of the things that we advocate in my financial services practice. We say, look, if you can help it, try not to sell assets. Okay. For a variety of reasons. Number one, favorable tax treatment, but also there are certain configurations. Now, I'm not giving financial advice, but there are certain financial configurations where you can just take income from the asset, okay, borrow against the value of the asset, but maintain the asset, okay. So that's a scenario that works for some people. What the government is saying, since loan proceeds are tax exempt in most cases, and these people are basically taking loans from themselves, we got to figure out another way to get the money. Okay.
Wow.
And this capital gains, regime that she is talking about instituting, and they've been talking about this for a long time. They want to do this. That's what they want to roll to next. And all it takes is some country to come out here and say, hey, bring your money over here. We'll tax you. We'll go back to the 20%. Okay. Bring your money over here with us. I wouldn't be surprised if Russia did it.
Yeah, because you have people. They talk about the American dream is as far as owning properties, buying homes and things like that. You have people, little investors out here, not making a whole ton of money, but may have purchased multiple properties, and it may be well over $400,000 or something like that. And then, my God, that's scary. That's having to pay this tax on that. Wow.
It's confiscatory.
Well, yeah. And that affects middle class, because you are still middle class, but maybe you are rehabbing houses or you're owning properties and things like that. So that's a major issue.